governance, shared prosperity, and in a healthy environment, and human well-being and resilience. The framework is a vehicle for supporting development and social transformation. It also does offer us options to reframe economic policies and practices around sustainability and inclusive, diversified, job-intensive economic development, and promoting access to utilization of basic social protection services and advancing human rights and well-being of the people of this great Republic of Uganda. And my last sentence, an important one, is we're also talking of protecting the environment, and the framework also promotes the spirit of partnership that is at the core of the 2030 agenda, with strengthened focus on inclusion, advancing gender equality and women empowerment, as well as tackling inequalities. Now, to join me and to kick this off and set the stage, I will introduce my panel here that does include, but not limited to, the lady next to me here is known in the civil society world very well, and there she doesn't need introduction, but for some of you, she might be in your face for the first time. She is Rita Achiro, and she is the ED of YourNet. And Rita, certainly a pleasure having you on the conversation.
Thank you, Samson, and good morning, listeners and viewers.
Okay, then from the Office of the Prime Minister is Mr. Joses. I think must be very much Portuguese or Spanish in there. I don't like to say Joses because it sounds strange there. But he's Joses Tejeza. He's the Commissioner of Strategic Coordination and Implementation. From the very nature of his title, he belongs to this conversation. Is it Joses or Joses?
Joses.
Joses, okay. Mr. Joses Tejeza, thank you so much and welcome to the conversation. We also have a man that is not so innocent in appearance, but his name is Innocent Fred Ejolu. He is the UNDP team leader and is here. Innocent man, get very innocent this morning.
Thank you very much, Samson. Very good morning to you, listeners and viewers.
Thank you. And lastly, but by no means least, is a young person, and she is the youth representative on the conversation. She is Miss Destiny Gladys Chaiga. She is from the United Nations Association of Uganda. Your destiny this morning is to say good morning.
Thank you, Samson. Good morning, dear viewers and listeners.
Okay, fantastic. And you understand the times in which we are. We speak through barriers. I'm very sure you can hear me from wherever you are. I'll begin with you, Innocent, so that you can innocently answer the question, if you may. What are the key coordination lessons under the previous frameworks, implementation, and in terms of achieving SDGs? You do have quite an experience in handling this. No team leader would come inexperienced, would they?
Great. Thank you very much for your kind words as well. Now, frameworks, talking about implementation frameworks and how these have played out in terms of delivery or achieving the SDGs. Now, we must applaud the government of Uganda for the leadership that has been shown in pushing the agenda to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals. In the context of the current National Development Plan 2 that we are implementing, which comes to an end about now as we go into the third phase, we've seen ownership at the national level. There's definitely been ownership, and this has been seen in terms of what went into the design of the NDP 2. We had an alignment of up The most important progress at all levels and deploy the It's very pro-poor. It's a very good strategic framework. Can be delivered through a local economic development, agenda. How do we leverage that to from the national frameworks down to see and understand the differences. And this is happening in Kololo. It's happening just next to affluence. How do you explain that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Samson.
Just tap the button at the end there. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Samson, and listeners. And Innocent, thank you very much for that dissection of what I can say, the lessons that we have learned. But probably I would also add some few other lessons. And when Samson, as you have asked, the contextualization of government coordination, which I head, and the Office of the Prime Minister,
understand you heard it, not hate it.
I heard it. And you are not felt, then you should ask yourself, so for some reason, I like it will come and be. So this integration is paramount, that what you do affects the other sector, and what you do contribute. Colleagues who are implementing, or partners, to know that a silo, a sector to come out and say, well, I did very well, I'm scoring 99%. But if you have built a road and you have done the electricity which you are supposed to do, and then probably the people with all the cars that are supposed to move on that road to go and deliver supplies have not been purchased, then that road will not fulfill the health outcome of ensuring that we have health for all. So what we do, or if you say, I've finished building, but if you have not trained the doctors, then that hospital is not achieving our outcomes. So we want that integration and want that balance, and also we want that timeliness and sequencing done by the different sectors. What I can probably say as a last point, and very last, though I'm a preacher, is that we are underpinned by a policy which was passed by Cabinet in 2016, and this policy spells the framework which we have developed for SDGs. And this framework has got layers, and everybody is involved. And one thing that Uganda has done is to appoint a dedicated minister to SDGs. Uganda will have a minister who is fully dedicated to SDGs, and also have a secretariat which is giving support to government. A French secretariat that actualizes, and I think many of you have seen it coming. But this framework, when it goes to the customization of SDGs, we have data, we have got finance, we have planning, and we have communication. Those were areas which were pointed out as gaps, and we have put technical working groups to ensure that those are made better. And above those, we have a reporting, coordination, and M&E technical working group. And then we have the SDG task force and up to the PCC, which is chaired by the Right Honorable Prime Minister. So we have adequate frameworks that will drive the SDG agenda, and we have ensured that the alignment of the 3 strategic objectives of the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework are in complete sync with our 5 objectives under the NDP3. Thank you, Samson.
Thank you very much. I will tell you from what I do know that one of the reasons why the brain is very, very difficult to operate on is because of how complicated it is. It's more complicated to operate on the brain than to trim your fingernails. So when something is very intricate and complicated, then moving it and fixing it can be a problem. But Mr. Tejiza, you said that one of the things that is going to happen now is that if what one is doing is not failed, then they need to ask themselves a very serious question. And you come from a culture of permanent and pensionable. Some of us are thinking, are they just going to be asking themselves questions, or are they going to be sent home?
Samson, this is the debate. Actually, the debate goes even up to the contract staff, permanent secretaries, and all people who are on agreements, performance agreements.